post mashing to give you an idea of what it looks like. Now, once you come in closer, you can see I did two different types of mashing here. I did with the food mill and I did with the potato masher. As you can tell, there's a difference in consistency. This is uneven chunks, and I also left the skins on, which you can do there, but you can't really do with the food mill. You can see with the russets, the food mill worked really well, didn't it? Made it nice and fluffy, distinct grains. All you really need to do is add your mix-ins and then just stir it. It doesn't really need much else. However, if you look over here with the white potatoes, you can see kind of it's a little gluey and sticky, right? Like it sticks together. This did not come apart well in the food mill. You might have a better time with a ricer than a food mill, but because the blade spins around and presses, if it doesn't make it through quickly, you're just overworking those starch grains again and again and again. And reworking those starch grains causes them to burst. And when the starch grains burst, they kind of stick like glue. That's why a lot of glues are made from starches, because they're sticky. And then you have you can see with the gold potatoes, they didn't suffer too bad, but they're a little stickier than the russets, aren't they? So this would probably be okay, but really, from a texture standpoint, it's much different than what you see here. The starch granules aren't broken too much. It's rougher in texture, so you could probably mash it a little more, but you want to be careful lest you get this gluey stuff again. Now, as for mix-ins, salt is going to be one of the key mix-ins. You know, just adding salt to taste. Remember that you can back up, or you can add more salt. You can add more salt, but you cannot take away salt. Now, this is kind of sticky right now. Not all that pleasant on the tongue. Other things, this is Thanksgiving, so if you want to add some heavy whipping cream instead of milk to sub out some of the milk, go right ahead. I like to add a little bit of buttermilk because it gives a little bit of a tang. Don't do all buttermilk unless you really like having it be sour, but a little bit of buttermilk goes a long way. And as for pepper, I know I have some friends who can't do pepper at all, but I love pepper, so I'm going to be putting pepper in mine. And butter. Butter is very traditional. I approve heartily of using butter in your mashed potatoes. For my friends who are butter-free, margarine, but I would add some fat to it, regardless of what you do. Whether that's margarine, and if you're not using dairy, you can avoid the cream, but you could probably substitute some liquid with, say, a chicken broth or turkey broth to give it a little more savoriness to it. But you want a little bit of that fat because that fat's going to help give a richness to it. So things that you could do, you could sub in some refined coconut oil to give it that fat. It's going to be very neutral flavor, so you're going to want to add some more in the spice and seasoning department, but it'll give you that rich mouthfeel. Then garlic is something my wife would always recommend you add to mashed potatoes. This is garlic powder. Yes, I know it may seem like heresy, but garlic powder has its place. It's good for quickly adding a kick of garlic. If you really want to go all out because it's Thanksgiving, roast a head of garlic. I think I'll do another video on roasted garlic because I think it's worth mentioning because it's such an easy thing to do, and the rewards are wonderful. So I'm going to do a separate video on roasted garlic, and I could probably do a lot of it, and my wife won't complain at all. So just eat it like on toast, like candy. And lastly, one thing my dad always added was a little bit of nutmeg. Gives it kind of a warmth to it. Doesn't taste like pumpkin spice, but just a little hint of nutmeg can really bring out some of the other flavors. There are other things you can do to make your mashed potatoes fancy, but oftentimes I just find myself sticking with some of these basics right here. And also, after you mash it and you're getting to add everything else in, I recommend using a stirring motion with like a silicone spatula or something instead of continuing to mash it all together. That way you can be gentle folding in the spices and not come up with more of this sticky gluey mess. All right. So let me know how it turns out for you. If you have some crazy spice combination that you want to try, let me know. I'm curious to hear. And if you make the best potatoes of your life, I also want to hear about that too. Also, if something didn't work, comment. Let me know. Maybe I can help you through that. Anyway, have a great day, everyone. Take care.